Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Awaken to Your Soul Path. I'm your host, Barbara, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Devi Wolf. And our topic for today is going to be between the veil and the cauldron. So, for you out there who love witchcraft, spells, spirits, and more, this is going to be your episode. Thank you so much for joining me today, Devi.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So, what made you choose this topic?
Well, basically because that's what I do. I'm a
Hmm.
witch and I am also a medium. And I combine the two very often. When I'm working, either spell work or house cleansing or even mediumship, sometimes I add a little into that. So I found they mingle very well.
Nice. I think that a lot of people who don't really know what witches are beyond the witchy movies they've seen on TV might have difficulty connecting the two.
Yes, well, witches aren't what you see on TV. We're not
No,
bewitched. We're not Samantha. We're not practical magic. We're not any of those things.
the Wicked Witch
Um,
from the East. No.
the Wicked Witch of the East, closer to that one, yeah. I'm not green though. Um, and what we do is we work with nature and natural energies to manifest things or create things. Um, and with certain techniques. And you learn this over the years. I've been a witch for about 35, 40 years, somewhere in there. I don't know.
Mm,
Um, and you learn things over the years. And right now, I couldn't tell you where anything that I know came from because it's all kind of converged in my brain. Um,
hmm.
and the mediumship, well, I speak with spirit as well. And I've been speaking with spirit since I was a child. Um, but I didn't really learn or understand mediumship itself until
Hmm.
about 3 years ago.
I can imagine that because I think as children, it's just something we are able to do. We don't question it, we don't doubt it. It's just we do that because we're able, and it's the most natural thing as a child without having specific words for it that adults like to give it to be able to label it or put it in a box.
Right, absolutely. I just assumed everybody could do it.
Yes, yes,
And then I
right,
was told I had imaginary friends. So, okay. Um,
yes. Exactly.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And what I also know from witchcraft is that it's often also in a lineage, in your DNA. It gets handed down through the lineage.
It can be handed down through through the families through the years. It can be. Mine was not. Um, I I just when I was a kid and everybody else was playing princess and I was playing witch in the woods and making potions with mud and sticks and things. Um,
Hmm.
and I did love the Oz books as a kid. All right.
Hmm.
So the Wicked Witch of the East is I was probably closer to Glinda the Good Witch, but
Hmm.
um I always had that in my head that I was a witch. And I didn't realize that I actually could be one
Hmm.
until I grew up many, many, many years later.
Hmm.
And I discovered paganism,
Hmm.
which is where I first headed. And then I realized, wait a minute, many pagans are witches. I
Yes.
could become a witch by study.
Hmm.
And so that's how I did it.
Yeah. And for those of you who are watching and who do not know what paganism is, can you tell them?
Paganism is any earth-based religion, non-Abrahamic, not Christian, not Jewish, not Muslim. They usually have multiple deities, but there are so many pagan religions all over the world that it's hard to narrow that down into one specific thing. Indigenous cultures usually have pagan religions.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes, but what I understood is that it mostly involves that you follow the flow of the earth and you
the
work
nature,
closely with the spring equinox, with the fall equinox, Beltane, so the changes of the season.
right?
Um, And the
We work
deities
with
that
the
you
earth and with nature. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So the deities that you worship, it's more that you honor Mother Earth, which we call Gaia, and
Specifically, most pagans do worship Mother Earth in some fashion or another. Yes.
right? Yes, because otherwise it might sound like well, God, but it's different.
But it's different.
It's yes. Yeah, so it means that you're also closer to nature, that you believe in herbal remedies, that you
Yes.
see the gifts that Nature gives to us in the form of her plants and her sun, and that you also
Exactly.
thank her regularly for these gifts and for harvest time and for spring planting
Spring
time.
planting,
Uh,
that's coming up. Yeah.
yes.
Yes, exactly. We thank Mother and we thank Gaia. And it also means little things like if I am getting upset or I'm off balance, I will go outside in my bare feet, no matter how cold it is,
Hmm.
and just stand on the earth
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I
hug a
love doing that
tree
too.
or and that's what makes me feel better.
Hmm. Yeah, I discovered this tree in my woods where the roots had grown into a little bench where I could sit on with my back against the trunk, and I loved it. It was so wonderful because it was so grounding.
Oh, that is so nice. We have in our backyard, we have a woods. We're surrounded by woods. I live in the country. But there is a huge tular poplar tree, probably about 300 years old, and
Mm,
there's a log which is right at the base, which is a branch that fell off it many, many years ago. And you can sit on that and put your back up against the tree, and
also nice.
that's
Yes.
so grounding. It's
Yeah.
so grounding and so centering.
Exactly. So where did then the real pursuit of where you want to start? Because I want to know the real pursuit of witchcraft and also the real pursuit of mediumship. So what came first? Maybe
The
that's a good
witchcraft
way.
came first.
Yeah.
The witchcraft came first because I started practicing. I read a lot. I went to conferences, festivals, things like that. Learned, talked to a lot of people. And at the time, it was hard to do that because there was no internet, and you just kind of had to find people where you could.
Hmm.
I found my people at a metaphysical store that I discovered when I moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
And I started practicing, and things just started working, and it fit. I felt so at home. I
Hmm.
felt like this is exactly where I need to be.
Hmm.
Um, and then I started manifesting things, doing little protection spells or manifesting money or um, healing. I did a lot of healing work for people.
Hmm.
Um, and it worked. And so I thought, okay, it works. I guess I'm a
Nice.
witch.
Yeah.
And that's basically how that started. Um, the mediumship came in much later. My my fiance died about 15 years ago.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
and he came back afterwards to haunt me. He haunted me for a
Ah,
couple of years. So
in a
yeah,
good way or in a bad way?
in a good way, in a good way.
Okay.
Although it's kind of hard to date again
Yes.
when your late fiance's in your head. Yeah. Um, but it was one of those things that I went, okay, I am completely communicating with spirits here all the time.
Mm,
He is always here. I could feel him touch me physically. I could feel him embrace me. It was just bizarre, to the point where I never thought it would be that intense with a spirit. And then about 3 years ago, I answered an ad for someone looking for a business manager.
hmm.
And he was a medium and he taught mediumship. Um, he's Scottish medium. And I started working for him in exchange for learning mediumship.
Hmm.
And wow, did that open my eyes. I found I could read for other people. I could see spirits that weren't necessarily, or hear spirits that weren't necessarily related to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'd heard them before, but it was always very like almost hearing a crowd of people talking.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and he taught me how to focus in and get more specific.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
and that's when I said, okay, I can do that too. But
Yeah.
I often mix the two. For instance, like if I'm doing house cleansing, somebody calls me, they got spirits in their house. I'm going to go in and talk to the spirits and try to help them move on and get out. But I'm also going to do a little witchcraft. I'm going to smoke cleanse. I'm going to lay crystals. I'm going to lay salt at the windows. I'm going to do a little protection spell. And things like that. And I
Yeah.
think they work very well together.
Yeah. Exactly. It sounds like it. Yeah, you're not the only, because last week I think I was talking on my show, and she called it my paranormal paramour.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Yes.
Yes, and in this case, it was a relationship not from this lifetime, but from another lifetime. But
Hmm.
in the end, when they're spirits, that is virtually the same.
It's the same because I know that my fiance and I had known each other in previous lives.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yeah. I love that, and I can see indeed how that could, well, reinforce or even support each other. Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's really nice.
And did it take you a long time then to learn all of the things that you know right now?
Oh yeah, it took me 40 years. I'm still constantly studying. I'm
Hmm.
constantly learning. I'm constantly reading new books or talking to new people and getting new input. Going to conferences still, festivals. I'm actually teaching at a festival in April, but
Very cool.
um, most of the time I don't teach because I want to learn.
Hmm. Yes, I understand that. I feel like I'm never done learning, and there's always
Mhm.
something else that catches my interest that I want to know more about, or want to go deeper, or wider, or further, or whatever. Yes.
Exactly. I've got
Yeah.
probably got 5 books I'm reading right now at the same
Yeah. Oh,
time.
yes. Me too. I thought I was the only weirdo that did that.
No,
No,
I do that.
people think, how can you read 5 books at the same time? So well, it's not actually in the minute in the same time, obviously.
Right. Now, obviously not at the same time, but one's fiction. I've got a couple of nonfiction and maybe something that was, yeah,
Yes, because then I want to know more about that topic, and I'm reading that specific part in the book, and then I want to know about something
more
else.
about that topic.
And
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yes, yeah, I love that. This not everybody's brain works like this. So if you're listening to this and you think, no, not for me, I cannot do that, then that's a
No, no,
perfectly fine
no.
one.
One at a time is just fine.
Yes, but it's especially manifesting generators when we're talking about human design who have this. I'm finding because everybody that I talk to that recognizes this tends to be a manifesting generator, and that's
Yeah,
because we are designed to follow the things that light us up. And sometimes we want this, and then we want that, and then we want that, and then we want that, and that's the way it's supposed to be for us.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
nice. Yes. So why did you then choose the title Between the Veil and the Cauldron?
Because that's where I work most of the time. Between the veil, between this world and the afterlife, and my cauldron, which is my witchcraft. And
Hmm.
I usually sit somewhere in between. When I'm doing spell work for myself, I call in my ancestors and my spirit guides.
Hmm.
So I'm still working with spirit. When I do bone readings, I call in my ancestors and they help me. Um, so everything that I do mixes the two of them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so but the witchcraft came first and the mediumship came later, or at least the development of it, because I
The
think,
development of it. I was obviously speaking with spirit, but I didn't
yeah,
understand it or what I was doing. Yeah.
no, no. And I can also imagine that made you stand out, probably not always in a positive way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was a little weird as as a teenager and a young adult. I was a little strange.
Yeah.
I still am, but I embrace it now.
Well, people often ask me, what is your own biggest transformation? And I always say, I used to think I was weird and I was strange and that there was something wrong with me, that that was bad and that I needed to be fixed. And now I know I'm weird and strange. And I'm
Exactly.
loving.
And I'm happy with it. Yes.
Yes.
That was definitely a big thing.
Yeah,
Definitely a big thing.
exactly. So was there support for you when you were growing up, or were you mostly by yourself?
Well, I had a brother and a sister, and my little sister was always very supportive of me.
Hmm.
Um, the rest of my family was kind of skeptical. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of support. Um, and I kept a lot of it to myself as well as I got into late teenagers, early adulthood.
Hmm.
Um, when I started looking into witchcraft itself and paganism, I didn't say anything to my family. Um,
Was that shame, fear?
no, no shame because I was raised basically agnostic. We could
Hmm.
choose to believe whatever we wanted to believe.
Okay.
There was no shame there. I wasn't raised in a Christian church or anything like that. But it was it was the 80s and fear of discrimination and
Being the odd one out.
retribution was pretty big.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I remember my grandmother always telling my mother to not stand out in the crowd, be just
Mhm.
like everybody else, because that's safer, safety in numbers.
Right, safety in numbers, and I just never really fit in with the
No.
crowd. So, yeah.
So how did you handle that then? What was your strategy?
What was my strategy? I found others like me.
Very
I
important.
I I I found my tribe, and it took me a while.
Hmm.
It took me a long time. Um, and I was a part of a coven for a while. That didn't work out very well.
I
Um,
know that feeling.
that didn't work. No, I'm not much of a rule person. Um,
No.
and but I started going to the Pagan Unity Festival here in Tennessee.
Hmm.
And probably about 27 years ago. Um, and I found my tribe there. I found people I already knew who I had no idea were pagan or
Hmm.
witches. And so it was more of a reunion than a first time. And I've been going every year since, except for a couple years that I had back surgery one year and, you know, something happened. I can't
Yeah,
remember the
things that are keeping you from it. So, would that then also be your advice to people who are feeling like there's nobody out there like them, to just look and see if you find a gathering or a festival or
Yes, find a gathering, find a festival. The internet is available. You can Google search. You can
yeah,
join groups on Facebook, um, postings on Reddit, and then meet people in your area. Like we have a specific to our little city, which is of Clarksville, um, a little Facebook group. So we can all get together, or have coffee, or and set it up yourself. If you don't know anybody, post an event.
yeah. Yes. And what I also tried and actually found to be nice, it's called Meet or Meet 5, I think. The people can organize meetings in their local neighborhood. It started in the States, but it's now also in Europe. And
Hmm.
I met this girl who was also a witch, and we created the herbal we call it the kruidenwis. I don't know what it's called in English, but you collect all this different kind of medicinal herbs, and then you tie a
Uh,
string around it and you hang it in your front door.
and you hang, yes, yes. I don't know what that's
That
called off
one.
the top of my head, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, and I hadn't expected. I think it's Meat Five. I hadn't expected to find something like that on that thing. So
Right.
you
You
never
never know
know.
what you're gonna find where. There's meetup too. That's another one.
Yes.
Um, there's more. I mean, you can just set something up, post flyers, go to your local metaphysical shop, look it up, your
Hmm.
crystal store. They will know people. and they will know of events going on.
Yes, because I think it's impossible to sell crystals and the likes and not be connected to that world.
Right, exactly. They will know what's
Yes,
going on.
yes, exactly. So, what would you say to someone who is still trying to figure it out?
Figure which out.
Yeah, who they
Read,
are, what their
read
powers
what
are.
you are. Read. I hear a lot from new witches. I don't know what kind of witch I am. Well, you don't have to be a kind of witch, just be you. I'm eclectic. I pull from a lot of different traditions. Um, and I
Yes,
use them all. So you can too. Don't feel like you have to be either a kitchen witch or a green witch or a hedge witch or a whatever kind of witch. You
no,
don't. You don't have to. You never have to buttonhole yourself into something like that.
no, you also don't have to belong to a coven in order
No,
to
you
be
don't.
rich.
No, I
No,
was solitary for many years before I joined a coven, and then I realized it wasn't for me. Although there's something wonderful about celebrating with a lot of people. For magic work, I tend to want it to be me or me and one other person.
yes, exactly. Because even though the celebrations can be nice, your energy can still clash with other people in a way that's not really helpful for the thing you want to
Right.
do.
Yeah.
Yes,
Unless you're all on the exact same page, it just doesn't work.
no, exactly.
Yeah.
And when it comes to mediumship, people who are exploring their mediumship abilities.
If you want to learn mediumship, well, find a circle. They have open circles on Facebook. My partner and I teach mediumship. We have a every Sunday we have a workshop. Not this next Sunday, but starting the Sunday after. We have a workshop where somebody will get readings and then we'll teach you how to give a reading. And then there's a question and answer session. Um, and so you could, send me a note and I'll get you links if you need that.
Nice. I will make sure that it's very easy to contact Devi. Hey, we can talk about how you want to be contacted, but I'll also make sure that all of the things that you mentioned or that you sent to me are included in the show notes. So
Right.
if someone does think, oh, I'm very interested in learning more and talking to you, what would be the best way to reach out?
Oh, either email or Facebook, probably.
Nice. I'll make sure that all of those links are included in the show notes of the video. So that's the description of the video that you will probably find below the video, but it kind of depends on where you are. It can also be on the sides. And what are some final words that you'd like to say to someone that is watching today?
Don't limit yourself. You can do anything you want to do. Um, if you want to be a witch, if you want to be a medium, if you want to be a psychic, if you want to be uh, an acrobat, I don't care. Don't limit yourself.
I love
You'll
that.
be able to do it.
Exactly. The sky is the limit, and the only thing limiting us are our beliefs.
Exactly.
Yes, I love it. Well, there you have it. That is the story of Between the Veil and the Cauldron. I hope you enjoyed our talk. We would enjoy it if you would leave us a comment with your biggest insight, or if you have questions, or if you want to share your mediumship or witchcraft stories, then we would love to read them. That would be awesome. If you're new to this channel, it would be awesome if you subscribed to it and maybe shared it with your followers so that this video reaches more people. And for today, I would like to thank you very much, Devi, for being here, for having this
Thank you for
wonderful
having me.
conversation with me. Thank you so much. And you, of course, supporter of this channel, thank you for always being here, for supporting and liking this video. And I look forward to inspiring you again with another beautiful guest in next week's episode. For today, I wish everybody an amazing rest of their day. Bye for now.
Bye bye.